Shabbat Shalom. We're very excited this morning to welcome Shira Polikoff, who recently returned a few weeks ago from Israel, from Tichun, Ramah, Yerushalayim, the Ramah movement's semester abroad Israel program for high school students. And we wanted to have a chance for her to speak now because just in a few days she's going to be heading out for her final summer as a camper at Camp Ramah in Canada. And so we're very excited, Shira, to hear about your experiences in Israel over this past semester.
Shabbat Shalom. For those who don't know me, my name is Shira Polikoff, and I just spent 4 months in Israel on the Tichun Ramah Yerushalayim program. This was a semester abroad program that allowed me to do the second half of my sophomore year in Israel. Among the many positives Tri had to offer, one of them was being surrounded by people who could finally pronounce my name correctly, and I was no longer known as Shira. In addition, I was also able to take all of my high school classes while touring the country and learning about its history and language. I first learned about Tri last summer at Camp Ramah in Canada when one of my friends was thinking about going. I didn't give it much thought because I figured it was too impossible, but as the date got closer and more of my friends decided to sign up, I really started to consider what this program could offer me. I saw that everything Tri had to offer was worth the risk of missing my second semester at Orange High School, and I'm so happy I took it. So 6 weeks later, 2 flights, 14 hours in the air, 1 missing bag, and 1 awful schnitzel sandwich later, I made it to the Chavat HaNoar and what I would soon call my home for the next 4 months. 24 hours after my arrival, I loaded the bus with as much clothes and free Tri apparel as possible to compensate for my bags still in New York, and we headed to the desert. Here we walked around Tel Gezer and learned the route of Jewish people. From there, we went to the sand dunes, and as the bus pulled to a stop, we got out and did mincha in the quiet of the desert, looking out at nothing but the tan of the sand and blue of the sky. This was the first trip, and in this exact moment was when it finally hit me. I was thousands of miles away, living in Israel by myself. As weeks passed and the schedule seemed to get more routine, the fact that I was doing classes with my best friends that I would only see 2 months out of the year at camp, and 30 more people that would soon become my family, never got old. My routine consisted of 50-minute periods of all my regular classes with about 5 to 6 kids in each class, 90 minutes of Israel core classes every day, and Hebrew Ulpan twice a week. It took me a while to get used to having school on Sunday, but Fridays ended at 10:30 in the morning. Tuesdays and half of Thursdays were spent traveling around the country, but never without 3 liters of water and a hat, which I forgot multiple times. We went to places like the Biblical Museum and played with little turtles, Beit Lechem, where we baked homemade pretzels, and challah, Yad Vashem to prepare for our upcoming trip to Poland. However, this routine shortly came to an end, and little did I know would not pick up again until about a month later. About 6 weeks into the program, at around 4 a.m., we left the Chava for our 7:30 flight to Warsaw, Poland. We had just spent 6 weeks living in the comfort of being the majority to a place where the population of Jews was so low you could count them. Straight from the airport, we went to the Warsaw Ghetto Cemetery. We spent an hour and a half walking through what used to be a vibrant Jewish community and what was now nothing like it used to be. We walked through the shtetls that used to be filled with joy and the mass graves where that joy ended. Over the next 6 days, we bore witness to the 6 million and the lives they once lived, and the ending that came too soon. I will never forget the feeling of when we had gone to our first camp and it was in the middle of a city. The concentration camp Majdanek was located in the center of the city with apartments lining the fences surrounding the camp. However, the thing about Majdanek is that it looked as if it had been untouched. It was as if we had stepped into a movie set and everything was silent and nothing moved. We walked in the footsteps of our ancestors and realized that as much as we can bear witness, we will never truly know the pain and suffering that was caused on the very ground we were standing on. We brought light to the places in need and made sure that what happened in Poland was never forgotten. We recited the prayers that were once vibrantly painted on the walls of the old temples and sang and danced like families used to in the exact same place. After the heavy emotions that was Poland, we once left again in the middle of the night and we were supposed to be packed by 1:15 in the morning to leave, but me and my roommate had fallen asleep and woken up at 1:15 to clothes all over the room and an empty suitcase that we wouldn't know until we got to the airport was 5 pounds overweight. After returning to Israel, there was a sense of safety that washed over our group as we stopped on our way home. Over the course of my program, we had an overlook our group would come to frequently, so it was only fitting we went in the rain with everyone running on no sleep. Here we looked over the old city, and the comfort of the Jewish people was felt. After laundry had been washed and suitcases were once packed again, we headed on our 3-hour bus ride to the kibbutz Keturah. Here we biked through the date tree fields to the Jordan border and snorkeled in the Gulf of Aqaba. From there, we traveled a little more south and made it to the army base in Netanya, where I got a taste of what kids 2 years older than me are doing in their lives right now. The second we arrived on the Gadna Army Base, the Mem, which is the commander of my base, got on the bus and made it perfectly clear that these 4 days were not going to be easy. We got our uniforms and our mefakedet, our commander, and started regular army training. And while it was a difficult experience, it was a very eye-opening one as well. I got to see the routine 18-year-olds lived and how I was fortunate enough to have the option to choose to want to do this with my life. The end of Ghana training marked about 3 weeks inside seeing the inside of a classroom and my regular routine. However, this chaos wasn't over yet. We repacked our suitcases and everyone went their separate ways for Passover break. This holiday was especially hard for me to be away from my family, but the kosher Passover pasta with my best friends made up for the long distance. We walked to the Kotel in the morning and had Seder that night. We spent some of the break shopping in Jerusalem, some lying on the beach in Tel Aviv, ATVing to the Jordan border, and once again swimming in the Gulf of Aqaba. Part of me was scared for this month-long break to end because I knew that once it did, the program would be coming to an end too soon, and I was right. In the blink of an eye, I went back to my school routine, and somewhere along the way, Shavuot came around, and I found myself in a long skirt at 3 in the morning walking to the Kotel after an all-night study. After Shavuot came our last Shabbat, and then our last Yule, and then our flight home. I thought that since I go to camp and I'm familiar with saying bye to my friends that don't live so close, it would be easy. I was extremely wrong. I don't think I have ever cried that hard before in my life because it was different than camp ending. Because for the past 4 months, the people I had been living with slowly became my family, and I knew that the lows that I had on Tri, they were there just as much as they were there for my highs. Tri offered me the education aspect that I needed and the out-of-classroom experience I didn't know I needed. This program showed me the land of Israel that I had previously only been seeing on social media and learning in a classroom. With Tri, Israel became my classroom, and the people surrounding me became my home. If anyone has any questions and wants to hear more about my trip, please come talk to me in the luncheon following, sponsored by Jack Moskowitz. Thank you, Jack. I want to thank everyone who made this opportunity of a lifetime possible. JNF has a program called Dream Israel that matches fundraising after a certain point. And since I had raised about $5,300 for firefighters in Israel, I was rewarded with a $7,500 scholarship. I would like to thank Michael Jacobson, who really helped spearhead my JNF fundraising, and those who donated. Barry Feldman, Sue Nash, Michael Hawes, Jay Jenoff, Melissa Kanowitz, Faith Eisenberg, Lily Thompson, and Lisa Byrne, to name a few. I was also fortunate to receive scholarships from B'nai Ashurin, the Jewish Education Center of Cleveland, and the Jewish Federation of Boca. I would like to thank my parents for the endless credit card bills while I was away, and the support they gave me in order to do so. My siblings for missing me while I was away, and Jordan for being a temporarily only child when Sam was at college and I was in Israel. While leaving Israel was difficult, it is nice to be home, if only for 4 days until I leave for camp. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Shira. It was clear from what you shared that this was truly an unbelievable, life-changing experience. We're thrilled you had the opportunity. And for those who don't know, anyone who was here this past fall, Shira was so committed in raising funds for this trip. All of the kiddushes over this past fall were prepared by Shira as she worked with the congregation to help fund this incredible, life-changing experience. I know firsthand how powerful a semester on Tri can be, having served as a resident advisor and staff with the program during the years that I lived in Israel. For dozens of students who have gone on to become Jewish leaders in high school, Hillels on college campuses, and now in their Jewish communities in their current homes as young professionals. Among the hallmarks of the Tri program, as Shira mentioned, is the Israel Core Course, ICC, which Shira shared. As unlike a typical high school class, you really become fully immersed in the story of our people. Learning about our forefathers by exploring the desert where they lived, learning about the Maccabees at the archaeological sites where they resisted the Greeks, learning about Hezekiah's tunnel, providing water to the old city of Jerusalem, and then wading through it yourself, learning about the temple amidst the very collapsed stones at the foot of the Temple Mount. The list goes on and on. We look forward, anyone who wants, I'm sure, could speak with Shira later after services, and I'm sure she would love to share more with you. We can certainly immerse ourselves in Jewish life here in Cleveland, celebrating Shabbat with family and friends, coming to B'nai Yeshurun and to congregations regularly, taking part in mitzvot around the holidays like building a sukkah on Sukkot, coming to hear the Megillah on Purim, giving tzedakah, engaging in Tikkun Olam, and more. And yet your experience, Shira, instills a love and connection to Israel and Jewish living that really is hard to match. Would that we could all pick up and go for a semester just like Shira did. But you don't need a full 4 months in order to have a life-changing experience. Just a couple weeks can instill so much, and that's why I'm so excited to be leading together with Rabbi Rudin Luria a trip exactly 1 year from now in June of 2024. More information will be coming out soon, but we're going to be leading a B'nai Yeshurun congregational trip 1 year from now. In fact, I think this Shabbat, exactly 1 year from now, we'll be celebrating in Israel at the end of June. So look for more information. Let us know if you're interested in joining us on that experience next year. What better way to be immersed in Hebrew language than to be in the place where it's spoken everywhere? What better way to learn about Jerusalem and so many of the most important moments in our history as a people than by exploring the places where they happened? Praying at the Kotel, climbing Masada, floating in the Dead Sea, riding a camel in the Negev, experiencing the sights and sounds of Jerusalem's Machane Yehuda market as the city prepares for Shabbat, even hanging out at the beach in Tel Aviv. Thank you, Shira, for inspiring us, and may we all merit to make it to Israel. Whether you grew up there, whether you've been there many times, whether you're waiting for that first experience, hopefully we can all be there together soon. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
As Rabbi Foster said, come with us next June. Much more information coming, June 2024, our next synagogue, Israel Family Mission. And with that, thanks again, Shira. And please, everyone, go and talk to Shira about her experiences. And Cantor's going to lead us in Musaf. Please rise, page 184, the Chatzi Kaddish.